And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico and I am your in-house conservative. To my left, Rob Ambrose, our token liberal. Our goal is simple. We want to show you that it's possible for a lefty and a righty to not only get along, but to be able to have a civil conversation when we disagree. Because never forget, common sense has no political affiliations. What's going on, bro?
What's up, brother? Looks like you're in a new, brand new location there.
Yeah, man. It's I am in Kitchener, just outside. How far is it? Probably like 45 minutes, 30 minutes west of Toronto.
Okay.
And we're at the National Citizen Inquiry, the NCI. Hold on, let me make sure that's yes. National Citizen Inquiry, and the type of work that they do is absolutely incredible, and that's the type of stuff we need more of. And just one of their banners, I absolutely love it. I just posted it on my X and on Instagram. I'll pull up a picture, but it's basically, and that's right downstairs. So I love to see that. And considering the type of content that you create every day, you're going to appreciate this because it's a very valid question. All it says, are children safe in Canada? We both know the answer to that. Spoiler alert, they aren't.
Yeah.
So I love that that's in the back. That is literally in the hotel lobby downstairs. And I didn't want to tell you that yesterday. I wanted to show you, to see your face.
Yeah. No, I like that.
No, but that's nothing. So I'm in the lobby, right? All the events, all the speakers are talking just further down because my voice carries. They don't have a big mouth, so I'm kind of away from them, so I don't bother them. Because as you can see, later on this afternoon, tomorrow, and Saturday, I'm going to start doing one-on-one interviews with all the people that are speakers. So I'm going to record, I don't know how many, but I'm going to record a bunch of them. And when I arrived yesterday, there was a banner. I've never seen it. I did not know what it was, but it's called Spectrum. So I turned the corner, literally just right next to me here. I turned the corner and there was a massive banner saying Spectrum. And in the background, it's all a bunch. Hold on, I got a picture. There you go.
Okay.
So you see this, right? So it just says Spectrum, but look at the little sign that's in the back. You recognize that little rainbow?
It's a rainbow, yeah.
It ain't a Christian rainbow, let me tell you that. So the group is called Spectrum Waterloo Region's Rainbow Community Space. It's exactly what it sounds like. They create safe spaces for LGBTQ members. But what's funny is that the NCI talks against the woke ideology. Like they try to expose the woke ideology. Yep. And right across from them, there was a gathering of people that pushed that ideology.
Interesting.
I love it.
Really fun.
Absolutely
really funny,
love
actually.
it.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it. But it was hilarious too, man.
Wise guy, how's it going? And Robin,
what's going on, brother?
Good morning to you. How you guys doing today? So we got a few. We do have, if you remember correctly, we have Marc Nixon on in probably about a half an hour. But we've got a few things to get into before we talk to him, just because the news never stops. And what do we got on the agenda today?
So obviously we're going to talk with Marc Nixon. We're going to cover the G7 that just finished 2 days ago. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And I also want him to speak about the phone call that he got, because supposedly a couple of days ago, Marc got called out of the blue on his cell phone by Poli. And it's the second conservative content creator that actually is contacted this week, within the last week. Because remember, Mario, that I always forget his last name.
It's like Zuliana. Something like that.
The bald-headed Mario that's on Instagram everywhere. Everybody that's a conservative in Canada have seen this guy. Mm-hmm. And he's also been contacted by Pierre Poilievre's. So it's interesting that Pierre Poilievre seems to be reaching out to content creators and podcasters. Not that we've been saying that for months, right?
Well, Yeah. And we've even joked, we're like, man, it seems like these guys are actually listening, but maybe they are. I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure it's not just us, but like you said, it's common sense what we're saying. We're not really reinventing the wheel here.
No.
Maybe they just had a change of leadership behind the scenes.
We'll see, but I'm definitely want to. I know that I agreed with Mark to speak about the G7, but man, I would be so much more interested in talking about Pierre Polyev and his views on the Conservative Party. I just don't want to trap him, so I will ask him politely, because as I was getting ready for the show, I'm like, because as a conservative, he's a conservative. I'd love to hear his views on this, but at the same time, I'm not there to pull a Tucker Carlson on it and gotcha. So I'm not there to do that either, right? I'm not trying to be a dick. But at the same time, G7 is great, but I'd much rather speak about his interaction with Pierre Polyev, what he thinks about him. Because I don't know if you heard, but Damien Carrick out of Alberta, the MP that said that he would give up his seat, he would resign to allow a by-election so that Pierre Polyev could run. He just did it yesterday. So he resigned. I got some videos about this, but he resigned. And Mark actually posted about it. I'm actually using one of his videos to talk about it later. So I'd love to address the subject with him to see what he thinks. But so we're going to talk about that. I'm hoping that he wants to approach it, but at the same time, I understand why he wouldn't. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick and trap him. I really like his content. We probably disagree on what we believe are conservatives in Canada. I have a feeling that, similar to Kaylor Betts and I, we disagree on the spectrum of what's a conservative. That doesn't mean I'm right. That doesn't mean he's wrong. But at the same time, I'm hoping we can approach that conversation, because it would make it very interesting to see what he thinks about this. But the idea today is to talk about the gas-powered gun ban. I'm so used to having those two words together. But we need to talk about the Liberals' push for banning gas-powered vehicles by 2035. Anything new will only be EV starting in 2035. So we definitely need to talk about that, because I did a bunch of research this morning, and just to show you how it sounds like something, as a liberal, you might agree, saying, oh, you know what, I get it, climate change. Yeah. I got some facts for people, and I would love a liberal to be able to answer any of my questions that I'm going to pose you later on. But we need to talk about the ban. We need to talk about Damien Carrick giving up his seat. We need to talk about the case that just happened for the trans surgeries, the youth trans surgeries in the US. I can't pronounce the name of
Skrmetti.
Skrmetti,
yeah.
It's literally, there's no vowels in that word. It's literally, there's an I at the end, and all the middle are all, it's a very strange name. But we need to talk about Scotus upholding the judgment, because we're talking about the case that was in Tennessee about puberty blockers and trans teen surgery. So it looks like the federal government is like, not in my country, at least not anymore, which it's great. But I had something else. I can't remember what it was. I had something else I wanted to talk about.
Was it something that we talked about before, or that you thought of after we got the phone?
No. It's no, that's it. Sorry, that's all I got. It's the G7 with Marc Nixon.
G7,
hopefully, gas-powered aspect. Gas-powered. We'll start right now until he shows up. He can give his opinion on it if he has one. Because he's very political too, right? So he probably does have an opinion on this.
I assumed is his content not mostly political, or is it cultural, or I assume that's his main thing, right?
I know that he's the VP. He's the VP or co-owner of a financial company. I don't know exactly what they do, but he does. His content is very similar. He talks about the same type of stuff that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely.
Cool.
So yes, no, absolutely. He's definitely in the same realm of content as we create. So that's why it's going to be interesting. It's going to be. I don't think there's going to be a lot of subjects that we're going to avoid, but we'll talk G7. We'll talk car bans. We'll talk Damien Couric. We'll talk about the Scotus case in the U.S. And I think that's it. I think we got enough, but. You're talking about Mark Devil's Due. You're talking about Mark. If we're talking, which Mark? Mark Carney or Mark Nixon?
Right. Yeah. Mark Carney's not coming on the show today.
That's interesting. I just realized that I forgot my banner, but I don't know. That's a great point. Would you want to talk to Mark Carney?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk to whoever. Like, if you can get a world leader on your show, you get him on. I had Kim Jong-un on for fuck's sake. Yeah, I wouldn't give a shit. But I guess
if we have Kim Jong-un, I want to assume that what happened in the movie with
yes,
this is my expectation.
That was a documentary, right?
I want to shoot missiles out of a tank. I want to do all of that crazy stuff that they did. That's the only way I talk to him. I can't remember.
It was James Franco, and Seth Rogen.
We all know that I would be the Mark Franco. You'd be the fat ass in the background.
Oh, please, buddy, please, please. I'd be the slick, charismatic. Actually, I don't think either of them really.
No. You know what? You're right. You'd be the gayer looking James Franco. That's true. No, you know what? I'll give it to you. You're absolutely right. You're right. You're right.
Did you ever see the roast of James Franco? It was pretty funny. It's all his buddies just ripping on him. Most of them are all gay jokes.
There's a lot of gay jokes in his movies, right? Seth Rogen is always saying, like, even in that movie, he won't start saying, like, oh, did you wake up with cum on your mouth? And even is it the end with him and Seth Rogen, same thing? You're going to convince me that James Franco didn't suck a dick yesterday? Like, yeah, no.
That's the one too where Eminem comes out, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that I would also believe. That I would totally believe.
Yeah, I can see it.
That would not surprise me in the slightest.
All right. Let's see. We'll just take a quick couple of questions here. Martin Wise Guy says, this push for electric cars will make it impossible for me to live where I do. The cold here in winter makes them useless. I'll be forced to break the law and drive my old vehicle in defiance. I mean, yeah, that's one of the angles we're going to discuss here in a minute. But in Canada, there's even more reason why it doesn't really work.
You want to just get right into it?
Yeah, let's get right into it. Yeah, let's do this.
Because I got a video right here. Let me pull this up. It's so different not to have my multiple screens all over the place, but the Liberal government is doubling down on their push for banning gas-powered vehicles, and obviously they're always doing it for the best interest of Canada, right? It's all about our best interest. It's all about climate change. It's all about preventing the world from ending. That should have ended years ago, if you believe what Al Gore was telling us. But I've been hearing that the world is about to die for a long time, and yet there's a lot of pictures of the seacoast from 100 years ago, and they compare it to today. It's the same thing, and yet all the elites are buying houses in Martha Stewart's vineyard, in Martha's vineyard, which is right on the water. So, yeah, but
well, none of them actually seem, none of their behavior suggests that there's an emergency, which is kind of a tip off, right? Of course, they always feel like rules don't apply to them. Anyways, they're happy. We're the ones that have to eat crickets and bugs and shit, but they can jet set off to whatever climate change. And yeah, they're buying property, waterfront, all over the world. I'm just not buying it.
So here is a debate with Andrew Scheer, or let's just call it Andrew Scheer questioning the Liberal motive on the ban of gas-powered cars.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. This Liberal government is doubling down on its insane ban on gas-powered vehicles. The latest Liberal overreach kicks in next year, and soon your favorite car, truck, and van will be illegal. But this mandate is already driving up prices. The average price of a new car is $67,000. Used cars are approaching $40,000, and this Liberal mandate will add an additional $20,000 per vehicle. They've already priced working Canadians out of the housing market. Why are they pricing working Canadians out of the ability to buy a vehicle as well?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, first let's start with the facts, which is there is no ban on gas-powered vehicles. But more to the point, let's also say, once again, we're seeing the Conservatives talking down one of our most important industries, employing hard-working auto workers in our country at the very moment that we're facing tariff threats from the United States. I find it rich that they are choosing to take this position instead of talking up a growing and important industry.
What does the tariff have anything to do with it? Like now it's Donald Trump's fault that climate change is happening and we need to ban gas cars. What the hell is she talking about?
And yeah, like what is she saying? That her main complaint was that he's talking down the industry, the auto sector. No, he's not. He's criticizing policy. I've got where she says. She starts as there is no ban on gas-powered vehicles. Well, yeah, we know that right now. Are you planning? That's not the question. No one's saying there's a ban today. The question is, are you planning to introduce one? Because that's kind of what matters, Like, no, there's not a ban on gas-powered vehicles. Okay, well, are you gonna put one in next year? Well, yeah, but I mean that's beside the point. Like, what is this person? Who is it? Why are they having the Minister of Climate? Like this is bad policy, man. If this is indeed like I know it's out there because I see it everywhere, but now I'm thinking now, I'm like, where, like, has it come from the government or is it just sort of leaks? Like how credible is the source? Because if they try to do this, man, I do not see this going well at all.
What source? You mean no? It is a fact that they want to ban cars by new gas-powered cars by 2035. It's a fact. It's being reported.
I know. I'm seeing it. I'm just wondering where it's actually coming from. Is this coming directly from the Liberal government? It probably
even
is.
Robin is saying that it's on their website right now, and I agree. Like everybody's talking about it, but let's just finish the video and see what she has to say. But you're absolutely right. Why do we have the Minister of Climate talking about this crap? Like, so basically they're telling us it's a climate issue problem. That's basically what they're telling us, right? So
yes, that is exactly.
Leader of the opposition.
There absolutely is a ban. It starts to come into effect next year, and it will absolutely devastate the auto sector here in Canada. The auto sector is already under fire from unjustified U.S. tariffs and the PM's inability to get a deal, but GM, Ford are all saying that this ban will kill jobs. In fact, a new report says that this ban on gas-powered vehicles will kill 90,000 auto jobs. Wow. Instead of sending even more jobs to the U.S., why not end the ban on gas-powered vehicles and let Canadians decide what kind of vehicle they want to buy?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, it's nice to hear that they're finally recognizing that we're talking about an industry that's facing unjustified tariffs from the United States. Right. But let's also talk about how our auto sector is important. We need to support it in this.
Again, why can she not simply address the facts? Why are you wanting to ban gas-powered cars by 2035? How is banning new gas-operated cars going to help our auto sector? Like, you're not making any sense. Like that twat is not answering the question whatsoever. Instead, she's blaming Andrew Scheer and Donald Trump. Like, what does that have? What does that policy have anything to do with the U.S. and Andrew Scheer criticizing her? Like, she is using Carney's Tactics 101. Look within yourself, Andrew Scheer. Like, what the fuck are you saying?
Yeah. Like, these are not persuasive or effective rebuttals here. Like, what she's arguing, you should be supporting the auto sector. exactly what he's doing. Like, this would devastate the auto sector. He is supporting them by standing up against this policy. Because do they really think that all these new electric vehicles are going to be made in Canada? Of course they're not. So what's going to happen is you are devastating our auto manufacturing, because I don't know, I'm sure maybe we make a couple, but the vast majority of the cars made in Canada are not EVs. So
I got some stats for you.
Yeah. Let's hear those stats. Because it's very expensive to move production or bring production to a new country. They're not going to bring in. They'll just sell us the EVs. Even if, let's say, we did this plan, all the EVs we buy would mostly come from the United States anyways. And then the auto sector that's here in Canada will essentially go extinct. So what is she talking about? You need to support the auto sector. That's what the fuck we're doing, man.
Well, let's finish what she's saying, and then I'll show you I got a video to show you about what's happening in the US, and then I'll share you some stats to just, you know what, let's talk facts and see from there what's happening.
Moment, it's creating good-paying union jobs in our country. An EV standard actually makes sure that new electric vehicles are available to Canadians. They're cheaper to operate, they're cheaper on upkeep, and Canadians want to be able to have access.
Bullshit. That is absolutely incorrect. By average, they're somewhere between 10 to 25% more expensive to just buy outright. Why do you think there was so many push by the government to have rebates all over the place? Because they were so damn fucking expensive. So she is so full of shit. She is absolutely lying. Those are lies.
Everything she's saying, like, the market will take care of that. If it really is cheaper, if they really are better, then people will choose them organically, because that is how the market works. People are not just out there choosing, gas guzzling, polluting cars just because they love emitting CO2. Nobody gives a shit. They want the best vehicle. They want the best value. They want a car that's reliable. They want the car that's the cheapest to operate. And if that's an EV, people will buy an RV as long as it fits within, none of what she's saying discusses the real problem with EV in Canada, which is, everyone knows, and anything you use that uses batteries, whether it's, your phone or whatever, once it gets cold, it just sucks.
I actually have the numbers for this, but one thing that you said that I'll just add to, just to prove your point, only 10% of Canadians, as per June last year, own an electric car.
Okay.
10%. That means that 90% of Canadians still use a gas-operated car. And they're, just as you said, they've been available for decades now. So why are Canadians not interested? We'll talk about it after the video, but the point in the matter is that she's outright lying, and she's making it pass like Andrew Scheer is wrong. By asking a question means that you're criticizing the auto manufacturer.
That's such a stupid argument.
No, but it makes no sense. You're going to kill the auto manufacturing, and I'll show you why afterwards. But she is literally doing exactly what Karl Marx told people to do. Accuse your opposition of doing what you're doing as you're doing it to create confusion, and that's what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
You don't have to allow Canadians to buy one type of vehicle by banning their ability to buy the ones that they actually want.
Yeah.
But, this is raising a lot of questions. Canadians, auto workers, Ford, GM, they all don't want the EV mandate, but the Prime Minister is intent on pushing it through. Why? Well, right before becoming Prime Minister, he was chair of Brookfield, and he advocated for a ban on gas-powered cars. Brookfield is heavily invested in the EV supply chain, yet this Prime Minister refuses to reveal his financial interests or self-admitted conflicts. Isn't it true that this isn't about the environment, this is about the bottom line for Brookfield?
Ooh, yeah, now that's an effective argument.
Because it's 100% true.
The Honourable Minister for Artificial Intelligence.
We're in a trade war launched by the United States that's targeting our auto workers and our auto sector.
What does that guy have anything to do with
the the AI minister?
Sector, including the EV sector.
Even Evan Solomon is a fucking journalist that has no connection to AI. that has no connection to telecommunication services. He has no connection to the tech world. Yet, here he is, the minister of AI. And now he's somehow explaining why we need EV cars. Like, am I on crack here? Like, is this a bad episode of Black Mirror where I'm the only one that didn't get a medication that made me, like, am I supposed to be crazy here? Like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I mean, so far, if this is the best that the Carney government has, I'm not impressed. These are look, good policies don't. First of all, good policies don't really need amazing arguments to defend them because they're just good policy and everyone knows it and we can see it. If you're gonna have bad policy, at least have great arguments to defend them, even if they're you gotta stretch it a little bit. But this is none of that. This is terrible policy and terrible arguments. Basically all they're saying is, oh, this mean guy's talking bad about the auto sector, even though he's not even doing that. But even if he was, fucking irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Yet she's the one trying to push policies that's going to end up destroying the auto manufacturer.
Yeah, exactly. She's the one trying to destroy it.
You're literally going to send all the car manufacturing to the US and to Mexico. That's it.
Yep.
Like, what am I smoking here?
To build good jobs in places like St. Thomas, where the Amino Corp is employing people. This government will always invest in workers and make sure that the auto industry is growing, resilient, and successful.
Okay, sure.
Today, Junior.
Like, that is such a great quote. But what are we talking about here? So we have the Minister of Climate, and we have the Minister of AI that is trying to convince us that EV cars are good, because if we don't go that way, somehow Donald Trump and Andrew Scheer are going to destroy the auto manufacturing industry. And before I bring Mark on, because I see he's just there, I just want to throw some facts at you, just so that you can, for any liberal out there that thinks that that's a good idea. So our government wants to ban gas-powered vehicles by 2035. Yet Canada is only responsible for 1.4% of the world's CO2 emission, ranking 10th behind China, USA, India, Russia, Japan, Germany, South Korea, and Saudi Arabia.
And that's total emissions, not
total,
just
total emission.
Yeah.
Canada has the third largest oil reserve in the world, yet we only have 3.2% of the world's lithium deposits. So we have a government that is trying to attack oil and gas, that we have the third biggest supply in the world, with let's make it mandatory to only produce EV cars when we produce none of it. We have 3.2% of the world reserve. So we have Mark Carney that's fought with his elbows up, telling us that we need to be self-reliant, and he's telling us that we need to stop using our own oil and gas to start being more dependent on countries like China. Really? That's what we need. We need, and somehow us questioning this is challenging the auto industry in Canada. Yet, as you said earlier, and Andrew Scheer touched about this, is it a coincidence that you have Brookfield that's involved in the EV supply chain? And that, keep that in mind for the people out there, because I don't drive an electric car. I'm very happy with my Ford N150. Very, very happy with my truck. Love my truck, and I drive it all over the place. But one thing that I didn't realize is that on average, an electric car has only a range of about 400 to 480 kilometers, and that's perfect
ideal
conditions.
In
Canada, where we go to minus 20, minus 30, minus 40, the range is destroyed to about 265 kilometer to 360. So the thing is, and this is the question for the liberals out there, and I want to see the comments, and even the people that are conservatives, how is pushing a vehicle that we cannot produce that we can't produce in Canada, that we need to be reliant on countries like China, for example, with a range of at a maximum of 500 kilometers, which could go down to 265 kilometers when it's too cold, not bringing us closer to the agenda that the WEF, the 2030 agenda, and those 15-minute cities, because I don't see what else. If their goals is for us to live in 15-minute cities, we need electric cars in order to prevent us from being able to go where we want. Because just yesterday, I drove from Montreal to Kitchener. That's 7.5 hours to 8-hour drive. I wouldn't have been able to do that in one of those cars. I would have had to stop 2 or 3 times to refuel my car. Like, are you kidding me? Like, we're in Canada. We don't live in France where everything's accessible by train.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a good point. You know, we're going to be reliant on somebody. We may as well be reliant on oil and gas because we can control that. If all your economy runs on electric vehicles, you're reliant now on lithium, rare earth elements, and that is heavily cornered by China. Now we're at the mercy of China, and that just seems really stupid from a policy perspective to make that change, let alone it's just not feasible, let alone they don't work in Canada, let alone it will destroy our auto sector, let alone just the basic principle that people need to have options. Like the consumer the free market has to apply. If you want, you know, if EVs are really the best option, then the market and consumers will go that way naturally, organically. You do not need to. The fact that you're banning gas-powered vehicles is pretty strong evidence that they know that they are superior vehicles.
10% of Canadians, after more than a decade of being able to buy electric cars, 10% of Canadians own them. 90% of them are still burning fuel. There you go. You have your study that tells you what Canadian wants, and clearly it's not electric cars. But you know, since Marc Nixon is there, we're going to put him under fire right off the bat. Hi, Mark. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Mark. How's it going, brother?
Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Nice to meet you, bro.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, I want to get into this EV thing because
that's why I'm putting you right on the spot,
you
bro.
Came to the place.
Go for it.
I'm a data guy. I mean, so what I like to do is look at what they're telling us and then look at the data and try to understand, why they're saying something, because when they tell us something, there's always an agenda. I mean, they're not telling us, and then they use the media to kind of amplify what they're trying to tell us. So let's look at some numbers. So when you look at our total global emissions in Canada at 1.5 or 1.4,
1.4, yeah,
that's total.
Yep.
But how much of that comes from gas-powered vehicles? Or actually, and this is trucks as well, just transportation. I know the number. Do you guys know?
I'm going to guess 0.8 maybe.
So out of 100%.
Oh, let's say 40, 50.
All right. What about you, Nico?
I'll go half because I don't know. It's rare that I don't know the numbers. Good for you. You trapped me on that one. I don't know what the number is, but
see, that's something that's important, right?
Of course,
we need to know. So because they want us to go all EV. So what is the percentage of CO2 that comes from transportation? That means trucking, cars, everything. The number is 21%.
Oh,
so 21% of 1.4% globally.
It gets even more wild. Okay, because it gets more wild than that, because people don't understand. You have to know the data. Then you could start going, wow, this is some scary stuff. So
you can swear. Sorry, you can swear, bro.
21%. Okay, so that's just one part. So now, if you look at, there's more data. How much does EVs, the whole life cycle of an EV? You have to, the EV, there's metal, there's batteries, all this stuff. There's oil that goes into building these things. So how much does a gas powered versus EV reduce the actual emissions? Yes, when you're driving in and charging it, hopefully what you're plugging in to charge it is 100% renewable. We don't have that right now, right? But let's just say it is 100% renewable. How much does it reduce from end to end? Do you guys know?
It doesn't. I know that it doesn't.
It does.
Okay.
It does.
Let's
Even if you
say
consider that you need
reduces
to
it
put
by
the EV
10%.
batteries, even if you consider that you need to get rid of the lithium batteries, which we
That's
don't
not
have.
considering getting rid of the
Okay,
lithium. I don't think we even know how to recycle this stuff.
We don't. That's my
No,
point. Because if you consider the EV batteries that you need to get rid of, it pollutes more. Electric cars pollute more if you add that to the equation. But if you remove one of the most important part, because it's 10 years, give or take, right? The lifespan of a battery in those cars. So let's go for your numbers, because you seem to be like trying
I'm
to
a
be
numbers guy. So the
Okay.
thing is that if you have 100% renewable energy, so that's the key. You have to have 100% renewable energy. With all other factors, it reduces by 20 to 30% over the lifetime of the vehicle. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
So think about this. So now we know 21% of the emissions in Canada come from vehicles and trucks moving around the country. And if we go all electric, it will only reduce the 20% by 20%.
Ooh.
Think about that.
Oh man. So it's essentially it's not doing anything. It's not solving any sort of a problem. There's no benefit to it, and a ton of negatives, a ton of downside. So
It's virtue signaling. And then also, I don't know if you saw the House of Commons with Andrew Scheer yesterday.
That's the one I shared your video, by the way.
Oh,
I shared the exact video. I share your
Yeah.
stuff all the time, so I'm happy you're here, because
Perfect. Yeah, share with everybody out there, because people need to know what's happening. So what Mark Carney's been wanting to be prime minister for forever, like a decade. And what he's done is he's positioned himself into the green tech with Brookfield and all his companies. And then what he does is, there's no better way to get people to kind of conform is through fear. Like, we're burning the planet up, we're destroying everything. So here's the solution, guys. But a lot of people don't do what I do, which is look at the data, look at the numbers. So now we know that basically if we all went completely EV tomorrow, it would reduce our emissions across Canada by maybe a couple percentage points, maybe under 5%. If we all win 5% of the
1.4%.
And
think about that.
That's wild. And all of that for the low price of destroying your auto sector, crippling transportation, removing the ability of people to travel far from their homes. And for all that, we get 2% emissions reduction.
And I want to explain something else, is that they're saying it, well, we have to protect these jobs, the auto manufacturing with the EVs, right? But people don't actually realize is China is 15 years more advanced in that tech. So their cars, they're able to pump out these EV cars for under 10,000. And they're beautiful. And the battery technology is 15 years more advanced than the North America battery. So they could charge their battery in 5 minutes full.
So essentially this argument, like this policy is a huge boon to the Chinese auto sector.
Of course,
because at a cost of that low, we were talking about just before you showed up, just, the cost to actually set up auto production in an area is enormous. There's no way that they're going to move. I think the Liberals are maybe trying to make the argument that, the auto companies will just, start making their EVs in Canada. Well, no, they're not. We'll just buy them from even if they implemented this policy, we'll just buy them from Canada or China for 10 grand. Our auto sector will just be decimated because the gas powered ones will just, die a slow death, or even not even slow, probably a quick one. And it won't be replaced with any EV manufacturing. And now we're even more beholden to China when we should be beholden to nobody, or at least resources we can control.
Yeah. And
One of the things I just want to add to this is, we had a conversation with Judith Curie that said our power technology should come from the goods that are available or the natural resources that are available. In Canada, we have the third largest oil deposit in the world. That it is untapped. We're not taking advantage of it whatsoever because our government refuses to build pipelines. We only have 3.2% of the world's lithium. What do you think EV batteries are made of? Lithium. Who has it? China. So not only are they 15 years ahead, and I'm just repeating your words because I trust your content normally, so don't make me look like an idiot, Mark, because I can do that by myself. I don't need help.
No, it's they're advanced.
But they're 15 years ahead, and they have two of the largest mines in the world of lithium. So we're basically giving our auto sector to them and decimating our own, because there's no way that we can catch up to 15 years. So we're literally replacing a source of energy that we have plentiful, that we know how to extract, and we know how to get it to where it needs to get. Yet we want to decimate our own economy to go green. To most
but we're not going green. I showed you guys the data.
But hold on.
It's a virtue signal about growing green.
Yeah, hold on. Because most people, I've said this so many times on this show, you guys need to read Values by Mark Carney. He explains what he's going to do. This was released in 2021. What he's talking about right now is the climate change scare. And you talked about fear. That's what it's all about. He's been talking about this for years. It's black on white. He's telling people what he's going to do. And this is exactly part of it. But at the same time, this is great. And I'm happy that Rob is not a conspiracy theorist, because I am. I don't know where you stand on there. But if you start to look at the WEF 2030 agenda, which Mark Carney was part of, he was part of the WEF before he became prime minister. They want 15-minute cities. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's out there. You can just look for 2030. Even LA has those plans. What's his name? Gavin Newsom, when the city's still burning. In the background, he's like, we have a plan to rebuild for 2030. We'll have 50. Are you kidding me? So everything that seems to be pushed by the Liberal government seems to take us closer and closer and closer to those 15-minute cities. And, I try not to be a conspiracy theorist all the time because I don't want people to think I'm actually crazy. But this is not even a conspiracy. They're just giving it to me. What do you think about that? Where do you fit in that WEF 2030? And just because Rob thinks it's bad policies, I think it's orchestrated to capture us in a 15-minute city. This is the stand between the two of us.
And we agree that it's garbage. So I guess that's the important thing. It's just more the how we get there. But what's your take on that, Mark?
Well, there's a movie that just got released 2 weeks ago. It's called The Agenda: Their Vision, Your Future, 2025. I'll pre-warn you. I'm going to pre-warn you, though. Before you watch it, don't watch it right before bedtime. Because you're going to be terrified.
Won't be able to sleep?
You won't be able to sleep because it really goes into, things that make you think, right? Because, it's real, right? And I'm surprised that they have not taken this show down, to be honest with you, because they're exposing the Agenda 2030. It touches on AI. It touches on the green.
Where can we find this, Mark?
It's up on YouTube right now.
Okay.
It's called Agenda: Their Vision, Your Future, 2025. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll definitely check that out. I think our audience too will be definitely interested in that. And just kind of to what Nico was saying there, it's not even so much.
But hold on, answer the question, Mark. Where do you stand on this? Do you think that there's a further agenda, or do you
need to watch that show and you'll know exactly? It's terrifying where we're going.
So you agree with that documentary, is what you're saying? Because I know where this is going. I've been talking about this forever. So you agree with the documentary or not?
They're concerned right now that we're having a mass awakening event. So they're pushing forwards with rapidly moving towards what they want, right? It's the people versus the machine. And if you see all of the policies that the Liberals are trying, like Bill 2 and, C5, it's all you have to think critically, because what they do is they dress it up so that at the front, on the face, it's like, for example, when they try to push forwards with Bill C63, what they did is they presented the bill as protecting children. Who in their right mind would not want to protect children? We all could agree on that. Regardless of your political view, regardless of your background, who doesn't want to protect children? So they dress it like that. But if you go inside the document, it's like, hey, why did you add censorship laws to the bill, right? And you're wondering, because essentially what they're trying to do is, take away our freedom of choice, which is this EV thing, right? I mean, my big problem with the EV thing, it's not like, who doesn't want to save the planet? I mean, arguably, some people say carbon is actually a good thing, because if you look in history, if you look back millions of years, what we're burning is dinosaur juice, like the decaying matter of all the plants in life. And so actually during that period of Earth, it was the most biodiverse Earth ever. It had the most everything. And the reason is, when you have carbon that's closer to 1,500 parts per million, that's the perfect amount for plant life to blow up. And that's why you'll see in the CO2 greenhouses, they inject that amount of CO2 and the plants blow up. So what happens is the trees were 10 times larger. The plant life, there was plants everywhere. It was abundant. And what's the byproduct of having more plants?
More air, better oxygen.
More oxygen. So the oxygen level right now is 20%. Back then it was 30.1%. So it was significantly, and that's why the dinosaurs were able to get so huge, because there was more oxygen in. So actually carbon is life. Like more plants, more oxygen, more life. The weather that we're experiencing and they're playing into it is that there's a lot of things that are going on in our solar system, and that there's cyclical cycles, right? So for example, our Earth travels around the sun, but it's not constant. Sometimes it's further away, sometimes it's closer, sometimes the sun has lots of sunspots, so there's more solar energy. And then often, and sometimes there's less sunspots, which we're currently in during the solar maximums, and there's more minimum. And that allows galactic rays to come into and penetrate our planet, which causes more volcanic activity, which causes our magnetic shield right now is 20% reduction in its protection from over 100 years, but it's rapidly decreasing because their poles are flipping. Every 12,000 years, our poles flip. These are all things that are occurring that causes our jet stream to move as it buckles. So we get extreme heat in the northern areas, but then we get extreme cold areas down in Florida. We saw snow in Florida. We saw snow in the Sahara Desert, but we haven't seen that ever. Like it's occurring. So these are things that are occurring on our planet that has nothing to do with with human activity. And if you look at other planets, we're seeing climate change on those planets. There's no humans on those planets. We're seeing all sorts of so on Mars, we're seeing different and so we had the red spot on Jupiter. That thing's disappearing. The weather's changing on all the planets. And so
Tim Ball made a great, I don't know if you know who Tim Ball is. He was a meteorologist out of Alberta, if I remember correctly. He got dismantled for his book, but he has a super small book and he reviews all the data from thousands of years ago and just dismantles the climate change agenda just based on facts. And that is what he did for a living. He taught climatology in universities and he got banned for talking about it. And not only that, but they're very clever, right? That's why they call it climate change now, because climate is always changing. Like there's studies that shows that the Sphinx in the Sahara Desert 10,000 years ago has watermarks on it. there's water erosion at the bottom of the Sphinx. You look, it's a desert. How did we cause that? Is Donald Trump responsible with his tariffs?
Tariffs. It was the tariffs. Yeah.
It was the tariffs, right?
Yeah.
You just start looking at the data.
Elbows up.
But as you said, I'm a data guy too. I look at the numbers, and the numbers don't make any sense yet. They're still pushing it. And it makes sense if you believe that the end goal is to restrict our rights. But this is the hardest part, it seems, that people don't want to swallow, because, how can our government not like us or want to control us?
Well, I really like how you brought in that data there, Mark, because, as Nico said, I'm not necessarily a conspiracy theorist. That doesn't mean like I say regularly, I'm not naturally a conspiracy theorist, but over the past couple of years, the conspiracy theorists have been proven right enough that I can no longer just dismiss anything. But I like the arguments where you can actually just remove things from the politics, as you said. Even if we let's say we all agreed on the climate change agenda and we all accepted all of that, just by the data you give us, this is not going to do it. Banning gas-powered cars in Canada is not going to make a hint of difference, even if that's all true. So why the fuck are we doing it? Right. And of course, it's a rhetorical question. I think we all know why. It's for virtue signaling. It's for Mark Carney to get rich. It's for the rich to get richer and the poor to get fucked and fuck everyone else. And
I'm gonna add something there. So the Liberal government in 2015 said they're going to plant 2 billion trees across Canada. Do you know how many trees they've delivered us? No, they actually planted some. They've delivered us 2.3 million out of 2 billion.
So they're almost there.
Does that count the arsonists that burned all those trees too? Like, does that equate? Or
so there's another thing that no, I mean, I don't know about the arsonists or people, they'll go there, but so one thing is with the forest. First of all, forests are supposed to burn as part of the natural life cycle. So when they burn, they kill off all the dead debris, they kill off the bugs. I mean, we're seeing bugs in our forests because they don't burn. If you actually look at data that goes back to the 1930s, they have actually pretty good data sets in the United States. And Canada, we don't have that kind of historical data sets like that. If you look at it, there was we have a 90% reduction in fires just in the US from the 1930s to today. We've become so good at turning these fires out. So as soon as one pops up, we turn it out. Well, that's not normal for a forest. Like turning out these fires instantly. So what we've done is we've created these mega fires from us, and then we're not cleaning up the debris. We're just leaving the dead trees. It's not natural. So what we've done is we've created the conditions to have super fires. Also, in Canada, we don't have enough air bombers. We're sending like $4.3 new billion to Ukraine. That could be like 300 air bombers. 300. We would turn out every fire in this country if we actually invested in what we need, right? But no, democracy is more important. We need to save democracy and send that money.
Save democracy by supporting the country that suspended elections.
That is literally the definition of a dictatorship.
That's how we save it.
One of the things I wanted to add, which I find interesting that nobody ever covers, to go back to the CO2, there's a volcano right now that just started erupting in Indonesia, and there was another one in Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken, a few days ago. It's estimated that those volcanoes will produce more CO2 than we do globally for 10 years.
Yeah, we're nothing.
It's throwing ash 10 kilometers in the air right now. And people are telling us that our problem is gas-powered cars when those volcanoes need to erupt once every 10 years and they produce more CO2 than we do. Like, it's insane. I don't understand how people fall for this shit. This is what blows my mind. Because as you said, I'm a numbers guy and I do the research, and we live in a world where, we used to believe when I was young that data would make us intelligent, that having access to information would make us smart. Guess what? It doesn't, because all the information is like right there.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing is that, you know, inherently people are good. Like they have good hearts. People, I've met so many people, you know, just doing my content, and people out there are actually good hearted. They're good people. Majority, like, I mean, maybe out of, you know, I'm talking about, you know, hundreds of people, you meet one person that honestly is not very nice and not good. But overall, people are really nice, and they want the best for people. They want, you know, and then we have this thing in Canada, and I'm sure it's the same around the world. It's everywhere, is that we have media that's paid for by the government. How is that possible? It should be illegal for that, because media should be for the people, right? As opposed to, we have $1.4 billion in subsidies for them to be a talking face of the government. That's North Korea stuff. And then people are gobbling this stuff up and then fighting. Like, for example, I go online and people, they watch CBC 24 hours a day, and then they come and start puking all over everybody's content that's fighting for Canadians, fighting for people to have a better life in this country. They're like, you know, they'll do anything, right? I mean, so, and it's dividing us into pieces, right? If we were actually, regardless of your political viewpoint, if we actually collectively came together and worked together as a team, we could do anything. They don't want that, though. They want us broken into pieces. You're left wing, you're right wing. And you know what I found really interesting is, if you don't believe in every single thing that the Liberals put out, like if there's something you disagree with, immediately you're right wing extremist. Like there's no like, you know, like it's this or nothing. And that's
very authoritarian on the left. So sorry to cut you off there, Mark. Actually,
but that's all we got in Canada, though, because this is a conversation I hope we can have, you and I, Mark. But even a conservative in Canada, they're liberals. They're considered liberal. If you look at the spectrum of politics around the world, even a conservative are extremely liberal. So in Canada, we don't even have, like, CBC is the most woke of the woke. But just look what happened. You know, Rob, we talk about this. Like, I've put I turned this comment into a meme. I put it in a lot of my videos where it's just, Rosemary, look within yourself, Rosemary. That Rosemary girl, that big girl on CBC, have you heard her talk bad of Carney ever since she called him out once?
She was put in her place.
You know, somebody got a good meeting with her saying, what the fuck are you doing? You cannot talk like this. She's been in her spot. So if you don't believe that CBC is paid and bought by the Liberal government, give me some of what you're smoking, because I want to go there too.
Nico, she doesn't take number one in my view. She's number two.
Who's the worst?
David Crockett.
The bald guy.
He's the worst. Like, whenever
you just don't like bald guys. Stop it. You're just
every time I see him, I'm like, I you know what? I'm going bald myself, so don't worry about that.
We're way ahead of you there, brother.
Yeah, don't worry. Every time I shower, I'm like, oh shit, 100 more hairs are gone.
Yeah, so. You're in that stage, the impending doom stage.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm gonna rock my hair until it's gone. But David, when I need to purchase additional puke bags. Every time I watch the guy, I'm like, man, I'm gonna throw out my breakfast. This guy's so bad.
He wasn't reprimanded. The funny thing about Rosemary is that she tried to call out Carney on his conflict of interest, and then look within yourself, Rosemary. And since then, you know, she got clapped. That bald guy you're talking about has just. He doesn't need to be told. He knows.
He's never needed to be told. Yeah, he's never needed to be told.
Yeah, but it's disgusting.
Oh, yeah, it is. To what you were saying there a few minutes ago, Mark, that's kind of one of the premises of this show. And in case we do have any new audience members, welcome. We're here talking with Marc Nixon. But yeah, me and Nico, we kind of started the show a couple months ago after we were talking. And, you know, I'm a liberal traditionally. A common sense one, and that makes me a far right Nazi these days, because I don't think men can have give birth or women can have penises. You know, I know that humans can't change sex, and so
they're going to call you far right.
I am a right wing extremist, absolutely. And it's funny because a couple years back, that was the first issue that really started to make me question a lot of, you know, beliefs on the left. And once you open your eyes on that issue, you kind of start to realize, oh shit, there's all kinds of stuff that's really fucked up over here. But broadly speaking, I agree with what you're saying. One thing me and Nico did when we started the show was we approached things like, look, we're just going to come at issues from a common sense perspective. I've got my biases. He has his. We'll talk about them. But you actually really, when you engage with people like that, you actually really find you probably have about common ground of maybe 80% of the issues, right? The media will have us believe that we're just mortal enemies. We could never see eye to eye. And, they have us, it's in their interest to have us at our throats, to hate each other. And, we don't need to play that game. And that's kind of one of the basic premise of this show.
But Rob, let me think about this. We're human. We poo in the same toilets.
Yep.
We all have we want the best for other people. We want the best for our children and our families. We want to be patriotic to our country. Mm-hmm. We want the best. So we actually all have the same thing that we want. How do we get there is the difference.
That's the big thing. Yeah. Yep,
it's not, but we all believe in the same thing. We want the best. But how do we get there? And the thing is one side believes that we need more government to tell us how to get there. And the other side believes that us people of the country are smarter than the people that are in charge. And just look at the House of Commons. I have to say, there's a lot of smart people in Canada. The House of Commons, I'm like, man, where do you find these people? I'm sure they're well educated. That's the thing. I've actually met some of the most educated people on the planet.
And they're dumb as shit.
No, but the thing is that you can't teach common sense. You can't teach somebody, for example, this is just an example. Somebody wakes up and he decides to do some art. Okay. This art is just like next level, right? No one taught him how to do that. He's just has this artistic side that you're like, wow. And then you have a guy or woman that has been doing art their entire life and it's consistently garbage. And they went to all the classes, they practice the strokes, because some things in life you can't teach somebody else. It's just either you have it or you don't. And, unfortunately, a lot of the people, they don't use common sense. So
no, and I think
but it's done on purpose. If you look at studies, they show there was some old studies that scientists were asked, what is the trait of a genius? What makes somebody a genius? And they agree that it's creativity, is the way to use your mind to create something new. They estimate that 90% of children have that capability, but that only 10% or less of adults possess it. And when you start looking at our education system and the indoctrination centers, as I like to call them, they're not there to promote critical thinking. They're not there to promote creativity. They're there to promote regurgitation. They're there to tell you, this is what you need to know. Here's a test, and the better you regurgitate what we told you, the better the grade, the more diplomas you're going to have. So it's no surprise that the people that are extremely educated in a sense of the school system don't question, because they were taught to question. So it's not even that we have the natural capability of having imagination, of critical thinking, but we are being crushed by the way we're teaching our children. So it's not even that we're not born with it. It is destroyed. Because I would say 90% of it, if it's true, if those numbers are true, that 90% of kids have the traits of becoming a genius, that means they can critical think. We're destroying it. How are we doing it? Our indoctrination center.
No, I think a big problem with the education way of today is we're teaching people what to think. Instead, we should be teaching them how to think. And we got away from that a while ago. And I value education. I think education, but that's why I think it needs to be reformed, because today what it has become is, you're right, it's indoctrination centers. And I think at the same time, Mark, as you said, a lot of these people are educated, but the field that you're educated in matters. And many of these fields, they're not really, like, is a gender studies degree really, really useful? But once you get that, now you have this superiority. You've got this idea that you know all these things and no one else can tell you different. And when you come up with some ridiculous idea like, oh yes, women can have a penis. Any normal fucking person would be like, no, what are you talking about? You're an idiot. But they're like, I've got a degree, and you can't get. And that's what I see is sort of permeating the left right now. This inability to, it's just a fetishization of dogma, I guess you could say, and just an utter lack of critical thinking.
Do you only have 10 minutes to go, Mark? Because I'm trying to be cognizant of your time. Because it seems that you could stay here for another hour and a half, and we just continue.
We
talking
didn't even get into our topic.
Yeah, you know what? I could stay till for 24 minutes, more minutes.
Cool. So we have you until 1:30 instead of 1:15. So you're giving us 15 minutes more of your valuable time. So you know what? I want to change the subject because you posted something, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about Pierre Poliev giving you a personal call.
Oh, yeah.
See
on that.
Sorry, Mark, we're not going to talk about G7. It seems like we're talking about
that's okay. Whatever you guys want to talk about, because that's the best part. This is why these shows are so important. It's off the cuff, from the heart, how we feel. We need more of this in Canada. We need to be talking to each other. I could appreciate that there's somebody, Rob, that you're more left leaning and you're liberal, and then we have a more conservative. And then for me, I'm data driven. I'm just common sense. And to me, what makes more sense is, the conservatives make more sense to me because they're driven on, common sense, right?
I agree with that. My I guess mission, so to speak, is to try to reform the left. It may be a fool's errand, but I'm not really ready to consider myself on the right wing yet. Although it's everything's in flux.
You are a conservative in Canada, like by Canadian standards, you are a conservative. They just don't have a
based
place
on some
for real. But if we understand, and this is really where I was curious to get your opinion, Mark, because in Canada, as per Rob's values that women can't have penises and men in a dress doesn't make you a woman, he's a conservative. By his by society, he's a conservative. I'm a Christian conservative that is against abortion. So I am so far right in Canada that I'm not even on any level. Like, you can't even quantify me. I'm probably so far right that I'm a leftist somehow.
You're outside Overton. You're outside Overton's house. You're outside Overton's house. You're not even near the window.
It sounds like you're not confused, and I like that. No, confused. I like that.
But this is why this show is very different, because we have those conversations considering that we are on two sides of this of the equation, right? But
I like it. It's important. That's the thing, is that it's important to have different perspectives so that it sparks imagination. What we talked about earlier, what we're lacking, imagination is where it's at. So if we could, somebody, criticize, and I go, I'd love to hear your point of view, then it allows people to be creative. That's what it's all about, being creative. Let's solve problems.
But the question I wanted to ask you, that I found interesting when Pierre Poliev contacted you, because he contacted Mario. I never remember his last name, but he's a very conservative guy. Yes, exactly. He also contacted him, and Rob and I have been. I'm not a fan. I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of Pierre Poliev. I think he's a weak leader. He's not conservative enough. We need a real conservative leader, and he's not that guy, if you ask me. And I've been saying this for months, way prior the election, and now he's starting to look like he's implementing the steps that I've been saying, that Rob has been saying for months now. It's almost like he's listening to our show and he's like, oh shit, I need to take notes. But the point is, do you think really that Pierre Poliev should be the leader of a conservative party? Because in my opinion, that guy is not conservative whatsoever. He's a liberal with a fiscal sense, is how I like to describe him.
Yeah. So first of all,
I don't mean to put you on the spot, by the way.
No. I'm totally fine.
You can decline to answer and tell me to go.
I got lots to say. I mean, first of all, he didn't have to call me. Like, who am I? I'm the same as you guys. I'm just a Canadian citizen that loves my country. I do. The only difference is that I wake up and I want to, I work very hard to provide information for Canadians. I have a special skill set. I'm able to sift through all of this stuff. I'm able to get important information out, so that I'm making sure I'm doing that so that I provide value to Canadians. But I'm just a normal guy. There's nothing special about me. I'm just a hard worker, and I care for my country. And anyway, what's amazing is that he didn't call me once. He called me for the last 2 weeks. I think I missed 5 calls from him. The only reason I actually picked up is because actually I talked to Mario Zelaya, and he said, "Hey, are you getting a missed call?" Or blocked call. And I said, "Yeah, I've been getting these blocked calls, but I get blocked calls anyway, right?" But he's like, "Pick up, it's Pierre." So that's why I picked up, because normally I don't pick up the block calls.
Yeah.
So I picked up, and I couldn't believe, I'm like, Pierre Poilievre, no freaking way. That's pretty cool. Anyway, the one thing that and I questioned him. I said, "Hey, like, your strategy with I said, the thing is that I'm quite disappointed that and I told him straight up, I'm a straight up person. I mean, yeah, it's Pierre Poilievre. I'm not going to be all, it was exciting to get the call, but I'm speaking to him like I'm speaking to you guys. We're all the same. We're all the same. Yeah, he's got a powerful position within the country, but we're all the same. So, I just said to him, I'm disappointed you didn't win. I mean, that's a big loss for Canada. Like, I feel bad for Canadians. We're stuck with the Liberals. Like, no offense, but yeah,
I voted for Poilievre too.
Oh, you did? Okay, yeah. So
yeah.
I told him, I said, we need to change in this country. Like, this is devastating, and I strongly feel that Mark Carney, and I hope I'm proven wrong. I'm seriously hope I'm proven wrong. I'd be happy if he does the change that we need, but my expectations are 0. Like, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. And then he listened, which was amazing, because he's like, "Hey, I want to, and he's like, yeah, I mean, he agrees. He's like, and it sounded, what's nice is that he, like you said, Nico, and I told him, I said, you should have been doing the groundwork before, touching base with the Canadians and pivoting, because when he saw the polling numbers and he saw that it was like flipping, like, he should have been calling me, calling you guys, calling people, call everybody, and find out what he has to do to pivot. And this is interesting, guys. The part that when I told him, I said, the one thing is what I feel. I'm like, you could listen or you don't have to listen, but what I feel you did and failed, this is how I think you failed. Okay, you don't need to listen to me, but this is what I think. He's like, yeah, tell me. I said, the problem that I saw was that there was no difference between you or the Liberals. We're the same freaking party.
Yeah. And they were able to steal his policies, just put their names on it, and there was no difference. It was the same.
It was the same. But the thing is like, I told him, I said, the problem is that the Liberals follow a script to the T. They only read from a script. It's always regurgitated script. Whatever the script is, they're not going to go off script. And so for him, I'm like, you needed to be off script. Speak from the heart. Speak from the heart. Canadians, how do you capture the elbows up crowd? They're not thinking about data sets. They're not thinking about facts. They're thinking about their heart. That's why they went to the Liberals, because they're like, they're scared, and they're like, we already had Liberals. We know what we're getting. Like, but if you actually captured people's hearts and be passionate, being like, you know what, guys, I feel you guys, like, and no more script, because I'd see him fall back on a script and attack Mark Carney. Like, we just need authenticity. We need, go to podcasts, go to, we needed a shift. And I think that he should fire everybody behind him, that his advisors, to be honest with you.
He's the one that should be fired, because it falls on him as the leader.
I didn't tell him that, though. I didn't tell him to do that. I just gave him my what I thought, my thoughts, but I didn't tell him to fire his back. I want him to make that own conclusion himself.
Yeah, right? I mean, I feel like that honestly, it sounds like a lot of the same critiques we were making. It just seemed like, everything he said and did was like, you could tell it was ran through, 4 focus groups and an offense filter to see which offense. It's just nothing about it felt authentic. As I was saying, I mean, I am obviously traditionally I am a liberal progressive, but I voted for Polyev. I wouldn't even say he won my vote. I feel like the left is so far gone now. It just needs to be burned to the fucking ground and then rebuilt back piece by piece. And that can't happen as long as they keep winning elections. So that was my thought process there. But I thought, I think in some ways, I know what you mean. I was watching it and the polling just shifted so dramatically once Carney came in, and you're like, do something, man, fucking do something. He didn't do anything. And I guess, you could make I know when he lost, a lot of people on the right were saying, oh, well, it's unfortunate Carney managed to bring Trump into it and elbows up and all that. And like, okay, sure. I mean, that is life. That's how elections go. There's always going to be something like that. Yeah. But my main critique, and this is what Nico was alluding to when he said it seemed like, someone from his team seemed to be watching our show, is because we were like, as recently as a week or two ago, we're like, where is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to lose the election. Okay. But, the Conservative Party kept him on. They managed to finagle a seat out in Alberta from some poor guy who gave up his seat.
Damien Church.
I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like if it were me, I would be out there being like, you know what, guys, I'm sorry I let you down. I'm going to spend every single day from now until the by-election making sure that that you made the right choice by placing your faith in me. I'm going to earn that trust from you guys. And I haven't seen it. And it seems like since we started talking about that, though, then you see, he's calling Mario, he's calling you. It seems like he is, if nothing else, he's getting better advice, it seems.
Yeah. Well, he's literally, he's like, you guys are the boots on the ground. I want to listen to you guys now. So it's amazing because he said he's going to contact me again. He's like, okay, I'm going to reach out to you again. I'm like, well, you have my number. So you could reach out to me. You could, I could have you on my show, and then we could have question period. Like Canadians could ask him questions, right? Make it authentic, make it real. One thing that
just talk,
no script,
like
just talk. Yeah. Exactly. And then also like,
but you honestly believe he's that guy? Because that is my main complaint with Pierre Polyev. He is fake. He does not have the balls to say what needs to get said. And that's my problem with him. Okay. It's the fact that he's never stood up for conservative values.
You know what, Nico?
This is the problem that I have with him. And you think, and correct me.
No. Like, I never said that. I never said what.
No. What I'm saying is my problem with him, and the reason why he'll never call me is because I would tell him that. But I'm not saying that you're wrong. All I'm saying is, as a conservative guy,
hey, Nico, he might call you. I mean,
I would
you never know, man.
Brother, I take care. Marketing is what I do. I would love to tell him what he's done wrong, but I don't think he's that guy. That's the problem. I don't believe that you can give him all the advices in the world. I just don't think he's leader material. That's been my whole point. I don't think he is the guy to stand up for Canadians and just do the right thing, because during the lockdowns, he didn't stand up. He waited until the end when it was okay politically to do something, but he never stood up for the conservative people that voted for him. Yeah, this has always been my issue with him. And I'm sorry.
What's your take on that, Mark?
Yeah. So hopefully I have another opportunity to talk to him, because I kind of planted the seeds. One thing, and I'll when I talk to him again, this is what I'll say. I mean, and I'm going to put the message out to others that if they get an opportunity to get in front of him, the one thing, the way that he's going to be able to win, and that's what we want. We want to freaking win. We want to win. We're disappointed. We all want to win. And if it's not him that's going to win, let's get a new leader to step up, right? So we want to win. The way that he's going to win, if he's continuing, hopefully he has the, it sounds like he's ambitious, he's energetic, he wants to keep going. But how is he going to win? If he continues to be like he's been in the past, he will not win. And guess what? What we need and what he needs to do, because I think he might have it in him. If he wants to win, it's up to him. If he wants to win, then he's going to listen to this advice. If you're watching, Pierre, you need to take risks. You need to take a chance. Don't every time he gets nervous, he falls back. That's his problem. Take a risk. It could you lost anyway. Take a risk. Who cares? You're losing. Win. The way to win in life is to take a risk. Just like us making this podcast, we're taking a risk. Brother. We're taking risks. Take a risk. And guess what? If you make a mistake, you learn from it. Make another mistake. Take risks every single day. Stop playing safe. We're not safe, okay? We're not safe. Play risky. Play sharp. If something happens, be bold. It might be a mistake, but who gives a shit? We need a leader that's willing to take risks. Let's go.
Yeah, you got a swear word out of you, Mark.
You never, you never see a team that's winning the football game do a Hail Mary pass, right? That's when you take the big high risk moves is when you're losing. But when you are losing, you need to be able to do, take those high risk moves and potential high reward. I think strategically, one of the things me and Nico would often discuss was just, I wish he had just hammered 2, 3, maybe 4 main topics again and again and again and again. I would have made that the economy. Immigration, which you didn't hear anything from. And I think that was a real lost opportunity because the liberal consensus on immigration, and that's another one of my main critiques of the left, has failed and is broadly not popular. And I think Pierre was afraid to touch it because, risk.
See what I mean? Afraid.
Too risk averse. Doesn't want to be called racist by the left. They're going to call you that anyways.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. You need to this is how I conduct myself. Okay. You have to be true to your authentic self. Then it doesn't matter. You're unapologetic about the way you're doing things. I'm doing this because this is what I believe. And this is how we're going to get there. There's no apologies. There's no anything. And if you could be like, that's a leader. That is somebody that's going to lead us. That is true to your authentic self. There's nothing. There's no apology required. There's no shadiness. There's no lying. There's nothing. You fall back to yourself. You could ask any question you want. You're not going to penetrate a lie. It's true to your core self. That's
everything you're saying, I agree with you. Everything you're saying, I've coached men on how to grow a set of pair of balls and just do what they're supposed to be doing or what they think they should be doing and just do the work. But I think this is where you and I disagree, is that you believe that he has it in him. I don't see it.
You know what? I hear what you're saying.
But hold on, because even Bill C2, which is one of the most devastating bill ever put forward, we broke it down. We've been 3 times on this show with, we broke down Bill C2. We even had John Carpe from the Constitution, like a constitutional
Freedom
lawyer.
Center, I think.
For Justice Center for constitutional freedom, a guy that won against the government for the lockdown measures. Even him says that's a police state bill. Yet, even now, let's forget what Pierre Poilievre has done during the campaign. Let's forget the fact that he's a career politician that never stood up for anything. He still has not addressed Bill C2 the way that 2 yahoos like Rob and I and a constitutional lawyer has done. We've done the work. We've been through that 140 pages, and we're like, what the fuck is this? He still doesn't have the balls to talk about it. So this is what I mean, right? And I appreciate you saying that you're saying what you thinks he should be doing. Where I'm coming from is just he doesn't have it. He's had all the opportunities in the world, and yet conservatives in Canada are still apologizing to him. And a guy like Damien Keurig, he's the type of MPs we should have. He's a fucking farmer that went into politics to help his people. He is the type of guy I want to see in politics. He just resigned to give his seat when he doesn't deserve it. Damien Keurig deserved this seat. Pierre Poilievre deserves to retire and disappear because he does not have the balls to stand up for what Canadians want. And I don't know how many other chances we have to give him. This is my problem with him.
No, I completely agree with you with the bill too. And that scares the living hell out of me that the conservatives are not standing up and just flipping their tables on this thing. This is ridiculous. What is happening in this country? I completely agree with you. And I one thing about this Damien, he's got a bright future. Don't worry. Don't worry
like
about him. He's coming back. He's not gone. You know what? I think that this is the type of people we need. And so he's not gone. We need people that are like, look, he was like a few weeks away from getting his lifetime pension. The opposite of Jagmeet Singh. We just saw the opposite of Jagmeet Singh. Did you see
Bizarro Jagmeet?
Vashi was like, her face was shocked when on the news when he was like, yeah, I don't give a shit about my pension. And she could not believe her eyes because she rarely sees authentic, like a good.
People don't know what to see in politicians who's not greedy and self-serving. To what you were just saying there, like, you want them to get up and flip tables and stuff. I agree with that. Like, I know some people's like, oh, well, what good's that going to do? But man, politics is theater. Your people need to know that you feel something about something. And I just feel this flat, sort of flaccid, like just a lack of energy across the entire Conservative Party right now. And that isn't Poilievre's fault specifically, but at the same time, that's how leadership works, right? When things go well, you get the credit, even if you probably don't deserve it. When they go bad, you get the blame, even if you probably don't deserve it. And people do take cues from their leader. I have a question for you. Let's just hypothetically say there was no Poilievre. Who do you see in the wings? Who would you like to see as the leader?
We have some very strong women, conservative women in this country. So there's what's her Maroney, Miss Maroney. What's her name?
Maroney.
Is it Catherine or Caroline? No.
Maroney.
Yeah, she's in Ontario.
And are you
Caroline
also
Maroney?
Caroline? Okay.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah, that would be a good one, I think.
It's funny because for all the DEI culture of the left, I believe that there's probably, and this is probably true for the States as well, you're probably far more likely to see a female prime minister or president down the States come from the right, actually, because they're there.
Look at Italy.
Because of merit, right? That they're actually there because they're skilled and talented. Whereas on the left, it's like, you get a Kamala Harris.
But I think a woman, we lost the Conservatives lost a lot of the woman vote to the elbows up, movement, and so like a strong conservative woman would be able to speak to the women of the country and also capture the men, because they have a strong conservative woman is like the most attractive woman ever. Like she has, the leadership skills, has like the, structure and passion. Like it's just the most amazing thing to see a strong conservative woman, to me. I mean, that's just me. And yeah.
So girls out there, if you find Marc attractive,
I'm
married. No, I'm married. I'm happily married. I got some wonderful young children.
I like how you look you look like, is she listening?
Yeah, no, just in case. What's your take on Danielle Smith?
She's a strong conservative woman. I respect. She's very smart.
Yeah.
If you look at all of the things that she does, for example, when she put forwards she could vote to separation, but the way that she did it,
she had to walk such a tightrope, and she did it
good,
perfectly.
So good. She would never, based on what I know, and people, I do have people, I talk to people across the country. So, she wouldn't step up for the, and I don't blame her. Like, imagine sitting in the House of Commons with half that room. What's going on?
And I was asking that almost separate, because I agree. I think she actually would be a great leader, but I don't think she would be interested, because she's obviously got her hands full with what's going on over there.
No, she loves Alberta. She wants to take care of Alberta. She's an Albertan, and she likes that position, and she's doing a great job there. So
I think how she threaded that needle I think that's going to be taught in political science classes, for decades.
Beautifully.
Like, that could not have, because there was a lot that was highly fraught with danger on all sides, and she did it about as pitch perfect as you could have.
I'm still studying that thing. I mean, that's to me, it's I've never, like, in my life,
she had so many concerns that she had to, not to dodge, so many bullets she had to dodge, and she did it was perfectly.
She just believes in what the thing is that I think this is the credit that she doesn't get, is that unlike most politicians, she believes in what she's talking about. Yep. She's passionate about what she's talking about. So she's intelligent to know how to put it into words. She understands where to go and where not to go, but it feels authentic. And again, that goes back to strong leaders. And I never perceived that from Pierre Poilievre. If there's one thing I wish Daniel Smith could teach him, is how to feel the passion. Like, I get complaints from people on Instagram that I swear too much. I'm like, you know what, bro? If you're not fucking pissed off by the state of Canada, you're the fucking problem, not me. Nobody can ever accuse me of not being passionate about what I do. I fucking lost everything over this shit. I don't see, why is it that a Yahoo like me can talk like that and have the balls to say this to millions of people every fucking month, but we have our politicians that won't? This is why Daniel Smith is so liked by her people, because you feel the passion. Yes, she doesn't swear the way I do. She's a lot more politically correct than I am, but you feel that she cares.
Yeah, unfortunately for Danielle Smith, not everybody feels that way. So she'll have to tap into, as a leader, you have to really satisfy all people, right? So like I said, we talked about it. She did that speech that she did. It was perfect. So
perfect. Agreed.
Yeah. You couldn't get any better than that. So.
No, well, there were so many landmines in there, potential ones that could have had. There were several potential career enders in that one speech alone, and she managed to. She certainly came out of it with her career more than intact, for sure.
It's 33. I'm just trying to be cognizant of your time. I'm not kicking you out by any stretch.
Oh, you can say the rest show if you want, Mark. But we're having a great time.
I'll put the offer out there. I want you to agree to come back. We're not going to plan a day right now, but I know Rob would like to have you back. I'd love to have you back, because you sit somewhere between him and I.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. And I don't know if you can see in the bottom right, we do have live commenters, and I can tell our viewers also really enjoy this conversation as well.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. Let's put it this way. I do it for the audience. If I'm providing your audience value, and they actually liked the content today, so review the comments and look at how they liked it, and if they, because I do the content for the audience, not for myself. I'm sure you guys are the same.
Same thing. Yeah. If there's anything you want to plug, your show or anything, by all means, the floor is yours.
If you guys, if you want to check out my channel, it's actually my name, Marc Nixon Official, on YouTube. I publish daily videos, and what I do is I publish things that mainstream media will not touch. I provide a lot of data sets because I love data. And another thing that I do that other creators don't do is I try to have as much fun as possible. So I'm laughing.
That's what this show's all about, right?
Yeah,
we have a good time here.
I'm my sense of humor. Some people might not like it, but I'm very sarcastic. So that's my way of coping. It's my coping mechanism. So I'm very sarcastic, and I try to make it as fast as possible as well. Some creators are really good at getting deep dive into a subject.
Yep.
I'm more of let's get through as much content as possible, so you get a full picture. And then if you like the deep dive, then that's. And then if you like open discussions, that's why I'm happy I came onto this channel, because I don't have the open discussion. I'm more like, the data covering the stuff. And so this is good for people that on my audience. I'll share the link and say, hey, I was on the show here, so they could kind of see me on a more live basis as well.
He's not AI. We got proof that Mark is not AI. He's real.
I'm not AI.
He's a new guy.
That's exactly what AI would say.
Yeah, exactly. That's what an AI would say. All right, Mark.
Nice having you on, brother.
Thanks so much for your time, Mark.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a lot of fun. Danny D, you Trey's Amigos rock together. Thanks, Danny. Is that your first time commenting? I don't know if I recall, but either way, thank you for stopping in. Angry says, thanks for coming, Mark. Was great. What you guys think of Mark? Yeah, basically how I thought he would be. Just a cool guy. He just kind of fun to shoot the shit with.
That's what I was expecting from his content. Because guys, just so you guys know, I reached out to him, but I had no prior interactions with him. Like I literally, he reposted one of my videos on X. We started chatting. He started following me on all my platforms. I'm like, oh fuck, I like this guy. I share his stuff all the time. And we reached out. So this was organic. We literally brought him in to speak about the G7. And clearly that was not the subject of today's episode, or at least a portion with him. So yeah, let us know what you think. Did you like the guy? Because I've been thinking about this week, and as much as the left needs to be fixed, as in get rid of the woke portion of the left, the conservative movement in Canada needs to be fixed too. Like there's a good reason why we lost the last 4 elections, that we can't seem to be electing a conservative PM. And I think that there's a conversation that needs to be had between guys like me, Nixon, Mario, Kaylor Betts, like guys that, because I'm a lot more conservative than they are, but at the same time, we need to readjust the direction of the conservative movement. And I think this is where the battle is going to be fought, right? In front of cameras, the way that we do it now, just by having honest conversation and addressing, because like Mark said, we are the boots on the ground. I'm on the NCI right now. I'm going to be talking to people on the ground for the next 3 days. This is where it's fought. This is where it's won, and it's time for us to have that conversation.
Robin says, great guy, great information. Yeah, to what you were just talking about there. I don't know what I'd ask a question to the audience out there. Do you think that it is primarily like the right that needs to be, the direction needs to change in terms of ideology, or do you think it's more
100%.
personality based? Like they just need more charismatic politicians, people who are able to get the message out there better?
So let me ask you a question. I'll flip the question to you so that you can answer it. So do you think that feminism, like, the woke feminism, I'm not talking about the first 2 phases of feminism, which I agree with, but the woke phases, the 3rd and the 4th, how do you fix that? Do you fix that by trying to allow women to fix the issue, or you just bring back strong men to say, hey, listen, stop. This is my role. This is your role. I'm going to fulfill what I'm supposed to do so that you can fulfill what you're supposed to be doing.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you're saying. And I'll even just say, like, when I look at the left, I see all the things are broken, and primarily to me, it's ideological. It's actual positions and opinions and issues that need to be changed. What do you see on the right like that? Like, do you see or do you just think it's more like they just need people who know how to implement right-wing positions, right-wing values, right-wing?
They're weak.
Okay.
The leader of the Conservative Party does not have the balls to stand up for conservative values. Even a guy like Mark, that is more politically correct than me in the way that he speaks, agrees with this. But at the same time, I'm tired of conservatives, and I'm not talking about Mark here, I'm just talking the conservative movement as a whole. I'm tired of seeing the conservatives in Canada continuing to apologize for Pierre Poilievre, to apologize why it happened, to blame the Liberals. It is not the Liberals that destroyed Pierre Poilievre. It is his lack of testicles that did. He is the problem. But the people around him weren't the right people. Guess what? A leader chose those people. If he didn't, it's still his fault as the leader.
Yeah.
So no matter how you look at it, it's a leadership problem in Canada. Why have they lost 10 years over the last 4 elections over the past 10 years? Why is it that Mark Carney was able to take all of his policies, put his name on it, and sell them as a liberal platform? Because conservative in Canada are liberals. So the problem is not the liberals. The problem is the fact that we don't have real conservatives in Canada, and they don't have a strong leader that has the balls to say what the fuck is really happening and what a lot of Canadians want. That's the problem. And I'm tired of seeing it, and it needs to change. There's a movement that we need to create real conservative leadership in Canada, because obviously if the past 10 years have taught us something, it ain't working. So we need to adapt and pivot and do something different.
Yeah, Detective Gaines here says zero accountability with Polyev. He is no leader, just a campaign attack dog. Yeah, I kind of I think that's probably a decent sort of assessment. Mark chimes in. Thanks for having me on the show today. It was fun. Hey, Mark, you're welcome back anytime. And it was a lot of fun. And as you can see, this show is really just that. We have our topics of the day, but actually what happened today, where we often don't even get to the topic of the day, is kind of a common occurrence, which is fine. You know, we have a good time. We just go where the conversation goes, but love to have back anytime. Angry Beaver says, thanks for joining, Mark. I appreciated your position. You know, I wanted to talk about Detective Gaines here. He said something. He said, as long as the right sticks to a cult of personality strategy, they won't win. Propping up Polyev was a huge mistake. Yeah, that kind of reminded me of something I saw on Twitter the other day. And I don't know, it just really made a lot of sense. They're talking about American politics, but I think it tracks. They said the left is a cult of ideology and the right is a cult of personality. At least in American politics, where for many, you know, MAGAs, don't matter what Trump does. He's Trump. He can do no wrong. And for the left, it's cult of ideology. You have to be very, very specific with your beliefs. You have to express them in the exact same way. You have to say the slogans. You have to wear the ribbon. You got to do everything. And the leader doesn't really matter as much. And obviously, that's not a perfect analogy, but I thought it was an interesting insight. I thought it tracked a little different from Canadian politics, of course. But yeah, no, I think. I agree. You know, if there is a cult of personality vibe up in Canadian politics on the right, yeah, I think Polyev is not that guy, because he is not charismatic enough to be the leader of a cult of personality. So
yet he's still the leader, and people are still defending him. So there is a cult on the right. The right now hates me as much as the left does.
Yeah,
this is the truth. I can tell you that.
Well, maybe even more. People always hate heretics more. You know, the faithful, the guys who are on my side, and then they speak out.
It's just that the point I'm trying to make is that we're just as bad as the left, because we apologize for our leaders thinking that we're voting for the lesser of two evils, but we're not. We're literally, we keep. Why has the Liberals won 4 elections in a row after decimating our economy?
There should be no reason they won that election.
This is not because Marc Carney is a great leader. It's because Pierre Poilievre is weak and could not get his message across to the people. Plain and fucking simple. We need to stop lying to ourselves that putting him in a spot of Damien Carrick in Alberta and making him the leader again is going to change anything. I think that people forget that he's a career politician. Like, there was a comment earlier when Mark was still there. I didn't address it because Mark was here, but it was saying that I wanted, like Nico probably wants Maxime Bernier to be the leader. I don't want him to be the leader either. He is a career politician, and I have a problem with career politicians. Psychologically speaking, people that go into politics are normally narcissists. I'm not saying that that's everybody, but that is one of the main traits that they have. They are there because they're power hungry and they're selfish. Just look at the state of our government in Canada and the US. It doesn't take you a lot to realize that what I'm saying is true. This is my point. Where is the guys that care? Where are the guys that are authentic? Where are the guys that actually believe? You know what? I'd love to be a politician just cry on camera, because I cry on camera all the time. Why? Because this shit pisses me off. My son will not get to experience the Canada I experienced by being born in the 80s. He will not get to experience that. No matter what happens, we are at a point that it's going to take years to rebuild something that makes sense. So he will not grow up in the world I grew up in. We're the last, you and I are the last generation of Canadians that grew up playing outside, getting hurt, not being woke. Like, we're the last generation of men that were born to be fucking manly. But I don't see that from politicians. I don't get that message. I don't get the guys, if only one of those guys like Mark said, would flip his table as the other guy's talking, or just give them the finger. You know what? Throw me out. I don't care. You want to exclude me? You want to throw me out by security? I'll give you the double guns, because it's enough. But I don't see that anywhere. They're snarky. They try to make their remark in a sarcastic way.
And then the cameras are over and they're backslapping with everybody.
Enough. It needs to stop. Where is that passion? Because if they're not passionate about it, that means they don't care, because they're not impacted by the same problem that you and I face every single day of our life by being just two regular Canadian dudes that are just trying to make it in life, I mean.
Yep.
And unless you're making multiple $100,000 like I did at my previous job, which I don't anymore because I lost it because of whoop whoop, you don't get to live the beautiful life that our politicians live. And maybe that's the problem, because they're not connected to us in any way, shape, or form, because they're above our problems. Yeah. But something needs to give, bro. Something needs to change. We need to have passion back in politicians, because the average Canadians are the ones that are suffering, while those guys are high-fiving each other, like you say, behind closed doors. That's the only explanation that I have for them not burning that damn parliament down every single time you have the minister of AI and the minister of what was it, of climate change,
climate change, and minister of AI.
How are they not? How can you stay calm and collected when you have a minister that is supposed to speak for Canadians telling us that the problem with the auto industry is if we stop EV car, if we don't ban gas-powered cars, somehow that's going to destroy our auto industry. Like, what am I smoking? What are you smoking? How are they not losing their shit on this? It makes no sense to me. No sense.
Angry Canadian says, did I just hear both sides are bad? That is loaded nonsense. I didn't hear it. I don't know what specifically what are you referring to. She continues. Again, I say, just because the good guys fail at one thing is no reason to vote for the obvious bad guy. Who are the good guys and the bad guys in this scenario?
Because I don't see the good guys, man. I'm really curious to see where you think those good guys are. And are we talking about the Conservative Party? Because I don't see it, bro. Well, no, I'm not saying that there's not MPs. Like, I've seen MPs like a David Bexty, which put some great speeches out there. There's a guy by his last name is Gunn that made some valuable contribution. There's the dude, I can't remember.
Is it Aaron Gunn?
Aaron Gunn, that's the guy.
That's a badass name.
Oh, of course it is. But that guy was passionate. You had guys like Giovanni that wanted to put an end to the temporary worker program, which I totally agree with him. So there seem to be some guys that care about conservative values, but they're nowhere close to the top. They're nowhere close to being in the leadership position that they should be in if they're that passionate about it. And that's a problem too.
Yeah, and I think in recent past, maybe weeks or months ago, my take was more like, yeah, I get the Polyev critiques, but who do you have in the wings waiting? But I've seen enough to know that there's probably people who definitely would be good leaders, or at least good leaders of the party, or at least I think they would be. So that, I don't. Again, I'm not even concerned. I'm not part of the CPC. It isn't really my fight, but I don't see how. Like, even so let's say he wins. Okay, so let's assume he's going to win his by-election.
He will, of course. He will.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I just feel like he's lost whatever momentum he might have had, and he didn't have very much to begin with. But it's hard to see. it's hard to see him really motivating the pace. He's going to have to assume or hope that Carney makes some huge mistakes, but then he's got a hammer on them. And I don't understand, like, you look at the Liberal Party, like, over what they did in the economy for the last 9 years, that point should have been hammered again and again and again and again. And he should have highlighted the fact that Mark Carney was a direct advisor for Justin Trudeau for his whole prime ministership. So, he should have said that every single opportunity he could. A new change, new guy, new blood. What are you talking about? It's the same old. They just put some lipstick on this pig.
But, he could imagine a conservative leader that would have hammered the fact that Carney's daughter's a dude.
Well, yeah. It's just, and that goes to his fucking
what he believes in.
His judgment, his values, his morals, all of that stuff.
100%. That was, but again, he does not have the balls to say that. No, that he shouldn't have attacked the daughter/son, whatever the hell that thing is. I'm not saying to attack them personally, but as you just said, that speaks to your values. That right there speaks about what you stand for. And I don't know any conservative, even the ones that I don't consider conservative, that I consider liberals, that stands for this. You're a liberal, you don't stand for it. So don't tell me that this would have lost him any points. On the contrary, it would have won him points with guys like me that are like, bro, when are you going to stop being a liberal and start playing for the conservative team here? So he had nothing to lose, and yet, once again,
still lost.
Didn't have the courage to do it.
Well, and as Mark said, like, once you were losing, once the polls shifted so dramatically, you got to mix it up. You can't just sit there and hope it all go better. He never changed a thing. He never pivoted. He never did a thing. And people can blame his team or whatever. At the end of the day, he's the one who makes the decisions. He can 100%. He accepts their advice or he doesn't.
Hey, give me 2 seconds. My light just died. Just give me a second.
No worries. No, I'll take some questions here. Detective Gaines says the temporary foreign worker program needs to be scrapped entirely. Yeah. I mean, or at least dramatically revamped, overhauled. It should be very hard to get them in. You should have to jump through a lot of hoops, and it should be, I'm thinking maybe 500 to 1,000 max per year. And it would only be for very specific jobs where there's a good reason why they can't hire a Canadian. But this idea of bringing in tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people to work at fucking Tim Hortons, get the fuck with that shit. There's no need for any of that at all. And if you wanted to just say scrap it entirely, you're not going to hear a complaint out of me. I'm not going to. I'll be perfectly happy with that. Joe Stradamus says every single person has more in common with one another than we ever will with our ownership class. There really are no sides down here. We're all serfs. Yeah, that's right, Joe. And Joe is, of course, banging the drum that he always is, the class war argument. But for a lot of that, both of us agree with you on that. They do have us, and even Mark was saying things. I think I caught a comment from you up there, Joe, when he said it. I was hoping that you caught that, but yes, among the idea that, as you were saying, most people don't like. We do actually want what's best for Canada. We just don't necessarily have we don't always agree on the way to get there, but we are not mortal enemies the way the media and the ownership class is desperately trying to convince us that we are. We have a lot more in common with each other than we do with them, as you say, Joe.
And this is where, like, I'm looking at all the comments. Like, I've been seeing your comments, Andrew, Angry Canadian, and the whole point is that in Canada, there's no oppositions. We've had a uniparty for years, and it's just continuing right now. And they can argue about banning EV cars all day, or banning gas-powered cars all they want. The only bill that matters right now is Bill C2. That is the number one bill that matters, and they won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Right then and there tells me everything I need to know about the Conservatives right now. If you're not addressing the most dangerous bill that's ever been in Parliament, if you ask me, I've read a lot of bills. This is the worst one by far. If this happens, just as John Carpe said on this show multiple times, we are literally creating a police state in Canada. The government will be able to do pretty much whatever the fuck they want to shut down anybody that they want. Then it's just a matter of that happening, and you know that the next bill C-63 is coming over and is going to take care of everything they forgot in that bill. So, but yet the Conservatives are not touching about it. But I showed a video of Andrew Scheer being all pissed off at the cars. I get it. I'm pissed off at those cars, but at the end of the day, I'm laughing about it because it's so nonsensical. It is so stupid that they're even talking about this, that at the end of the day, I don't believe that it's ever going to pass. But if they don't hammer Bill C2 time and time and time and time again, this is the type of bill that could pass. This is the type of thing that they're going to debate. What debate? They haven't brought it up yet. Anybody, like, why isn't Andrew Scheer hammering Bill C2 every single day? I could give him 20 points right now that he could talk about in there to try to get explanations in there. Yet I haven't seen them. Why? Mm-hmm. That tells me right there that there's no good or bad side when it comes to our politics. They're all on the bad side, because if you don't stand up for what's good, for what's right, you're not on the right side, bro. I've said this so many times. There's a spiritual war going on right now, and like it or not, you're involved. I don't see it from the Conservatives. I don't see it. And again, let me be clear by saying that there are some guys like the Guns of this world, like the David Bexty, that seem to have something to offer, but they're not the voices of the party. You have guys like Andrew Scheer and Poliev as the leader of a party that they're both soft. It just blows my mind.
Yeah. I think, and I know that, you just said a few minutes ago that you're talking about, like, complete redirection from the right. But I wonder, like, if your issue is like the positions on the right, or if it's more just you want to see a new generation of leaders, like strong leaders.
Both, because we don't see because the thing is, the problem with the Conservative Party is that they're not conservative. Even Mark mentioned it, and we mentioned both of this. We mentioned during the election process that the Liberal, if I took away the Conservative logo from his policies and put the Liberal logo on it, you would have believed it. That right there tells me that there's no difference between our Liberal Party and our Conservative Party. Mark Carney literally took some of the talking points of Pierre Poilievre, applied them like hacks the tax. And it didn't make any difference. Like, nobody cares that it's Pierre Poilievre that we're talking about it before. Because he just slapped his logo on it and he's like, that's my view, that's what I'm going to do. That's problematic. If you cannot tell the difference, let's say to an American or to somebody that's overseas, that's not even in North America, that you start showing them the policies during the election. And then you're like, which are those? Like, without you knowing who presented them, who are who pushed that? I guarantee you they'd be liberal. There was no difference. There was no such thing as conservative values during the last election. So the problem is that we don't have real conservatives leaders in Canada. I'm not saying that they don't exist, because they do exist. I know they do. I've talked to them like on the ground.
So
I got a buddy of mine that should be in politics. He just doesn't want to. He just does not want to. He is the perfect guy, and he's going to start showing up to this show soon. Next time we have a gun issue, he's going to be here. He's all JTF2. So if you don't know who JTF2 is, they're the special forces of the Canadian military. He is as a badass. He fought as a MMA professional fighter for basically shits and giggles. So he was an assaulter for 20 years as part of JTF2. He's going to start coming up to the show, but he's the perfect guy. Very eloquent, very well spoken, but he doesn't want to go into politics yet. I've been telling him for at least 5 or 6 years.
It's always the people who don't want to go that
but he's been approached.
You really need those people.
He's been approached in the last elections from both the Liberals and the Conservative. They're like, we want you. He's like, nope, not interested.
So let me ask you then.
So I know that they exist. I know that strong conservative people exist. I know they're there. I've met them. I'm not a politician. I'll never be in politics because I'm too raw for politics. That people are not going to like what I have to say. And it's okay. But guys like Randy, my buddy that I'm talking about right now, is the perfect candidate for a conservative party. He's the perfect dude. He has all the right. You know, in the US, you look at a JD Vance. Imagine a more badass JD Vance.
Okay.
That's who my buddy is.
So let me ask you then, from a policy or law perspective, what do you think that the Conservative Party should be focusing on? What would you like to see them be pushing?
What's the difference between the Liberals and the Conservative right now? Like, and I'm not even going to talk about abortion because, like I said earlier, this is something that's not even on the table. So let's not even touch that. Let's just switch the Overton window just a tiny bit. Instead of having the Conservative Party as part of the left, let's switch them to somewhere in the middle. So simple. Fathers and mothers make the best parents.
Yeah.
Two parents make the best families.
I agree.
It's okay to have religious rights. It's okay for Christians to be accepted again. We need to stop this Muslim overtaking of our streets to pray as a show of force. This needs to stop. We need to make it equal for everybody. We need to stop men from women's sports. We need to stop having surgeries on teenagers. Teenagers are not old enough to start mutilating themselves. See, those are.
I don't even really consider those a lot of like conservative policies, but I guess they are. Yeah,
but they are in Canada
right now. In Canada they are.
What we're lacking in politics right now is common sense. We do not have common sense in politics. In order to have, and you know what? You and I prove it every day. Common sense is somewhere in the middle. You and I can disagree on the solution, but we normally always agree on the fucking problem. We agree that there's a problem. So this is the thing. This is all it takes is to shift a tiny bit more to the middle. What does the left keep on pushing? That LGBT crap, that trans crap, that idea that we need to give more foreign money to Ukraine, that we need to give more money to help everybody else, immigration, economy. There you go. That's 5 points right there that he could hammer, that the Conservative could start talking on, trying to switch that Overton window more to the middle so that they can talk to guys like you.
Well,
that voted for them in the last election, right?
This is what Gaines says. He says the only way to move the Overton window to the right, the center of them becomes part of the right. There's a cultural shift, though. That's what I see as necessary. I mean, obviously, I'm not a conservative, I'm not on the right, but from my perspective, that's what I think the right should be focused on. That's what I'd like to see.
We said this how many times have we said that politics stems down from culture? That's what it is. Culture directly impacts politics, and obviously politics will impact culture at the same time. But it starts with cultures. There's need to be a cultural shift. So Detective Gaines, 100%, I agree with you, and you and I have spoken about this many times, right?
Yeah, like I don't, obviously you believe the right should be further to the right. I don't think it necessarily has to be that. I just think the Overton window has to shift a little more.
The conservative, not the right. The conservative need to have more conservative values. But we're in Canada, so there's certain topics that will never be addressed, and I've come to accept that. Our right is not the equivalent. Our conservatives will never be Republicans, because right now Trump is not a Republican. We've spoken about this many times. In nature, he's more somewhere in the middle. But the point is that there are some things that I know we cannot change in Canada, or it would take decades and decades and decades, just like abortion. But that's not even one that's on the table, in my opinion. Just simple stuff like leave the kids alone. Leave that trans agenda crap alone. Stop pushing that shit to children. Let's start educating our kids with critical thinking instead of indoctrination centers that we have everywhere. Remove women remove men from women's sports. Like, it is literally, it's okay to be a man. It's okay to be a woman. One is not better than the other, but they both have different. Yeah. And you know what? If just that would make them conservative, it's fucking sad.
It's wild. Yeah.
It's
I agree.
sad that that's where we are, but this is the only thing that we have to do. Talk about immigration, address our housing crisis that because of immigration. So there's like 3-4 topics that they just need to start talking about and have solutions for, that they could have convinced Canadians to vote for them, but they didn't have the balls to touch them, and I don't see who does. So at least in leadership position, once again, they are people, they are MPs that I like Gunn. I've never met him, but I like him. There's something about him that I like.
It's going to get you a chance to respond to this. Angry Kane says, why is Nico lying about a lack of conservative values when that is all I saw in QP last year? It is not QP. Oh, question period. And then she says, if you watch question period, you will see the difference between the left and the right. So if you want to respond.
What have you been watching, bro? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't care what people say. So let me tell you this. As a content creator with a large audience, I get access to people that were part of Pierre Poilievre's campaign. I spoke against Pierre Poilievre not being conservative enough before the campaign, during the campaign. I'm still talking about it now. I've got people with massive audiences that I've created content with in the past that no longer talk to me because I thought that Pierre Poilievre wasn't a leader. Wasn't leader material because he didn't stood up for anything. Their answers was always the same. Oh, behind closed doors, he believes in the same thing that we do, but he doesn't want to lose his lead. He doesn't want to lose the election.
Well, so he did. How'd that work out?
Exactly my point.
And that's why he lost it.
But this is what we're seeing, and this is exactly my point. So I don't believe that he's like that behind closed doors. I don't. Prove me wrong, prove me right. I would apologize if I was proven wrong. But the point in the matter is that it does not matter what you believe in behind closed doors if you don't have the balls to say it out loud. If you're a leader,
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And I don't even care. Like Mark Carney, as evil as that man is, he is not worried to say what he believes. He's not. You can see it in plain sight. Read his book. He's telling you what he's going to do. I never got that from Pierre. I never got that from conservatives right now. People that are just going to lay it down and say, you know what? This is what I believe in, and I will not apologize for it. Not only will not apologize for it, but I will welcome any single opportunity to be on a long-form content to talk about it. I will do it unscripted. Allow me to explain myself. But instead, the conservatives are letting themselves being painted by CBC, which is a propaganda machine for the Liberal Party, instead of themselves going on massive podcasts like the Joe Rogan, the Tucker Carlson, the PBD in US. They had all the chances to do something. They chose not to. And I heard behind closed doors that the leadership of the Conservative Party told their MPs not to push the envelope, to be careful about what they said. So this was leadership.
On what topic, sorry?
Not to do podcasts. Not to do long-form content.
That's weak, man. That is weak.
Those, I'm telling you right now, this is rumors. This hasn't been proven. So consider it to be as wrong as it is right. But this is what I've heard from people involved in the campaign, that they were told to keep quiet, to not blow the lead. Look what the fuck happened.
Yeah, but that's exactly. And not only did they blow the lead, but that is why they blew the lead, because that kind of playing it safe, it'll gonna blow up in your face every single time. Detective Gain says conservative values need to be divorced from religious values. No offense to believers, but you can't build good policy on magical thinking. I'm a former Catholic. I mean, I agree with you that conservative values need to be divorced from religious values. I think that's kind of happening, though. Do you not?
Why do you think we're in the state that we're in right now? Because conservatives don't have the balls to say that they believe in God, don't want to say that their morality comes from somewhere else, that their personal beliefs. You and I, one thing that we disagree is religion, and we both agree that religion can be good, can be bad. We both agree. Mm-hmm. We both agree with that. Yep. We both agree also that the human beings have a want to believe in something greater than themselves. It doesn't matter that it's God. It doesn't matter that it's money. It doesn't matter that it's the woke ideology. I don't care. Religion is religion.
Yep.
But we have the need to want to believe in something greater. What's wrong with that? It's human nature. But this is not even discussed. But my belief, my morals, the fact that, people take it for granted that I'm going to be in front of a camera. They're like, oh yeah, but you just don't care. No, that's not true. You don't think I care about losing my whole career over this? I was making a shit ton of money before this. I just chose my morals before my pockets. Why? Because I believe in God, and I believe that I will have my judgment day one day. I will meet my maker. And guess what? If I didn't do what was right, knowing that it was right, I'm going to have to explain myself, and I choose not to. I'd rather lose absolutely everything, but knowing that I did the right thing, no matter what the consequences are. Why the fuck is that a problem? How is that a problem to say that I want to be the man my son needs to become? I want him to. I want to show him that courage is everything. You need to be able to stand up for what you believe in. He might not believe in the same thing I will as an adult, but one thing I guarantee you is that he will have seen a man stand up for his beliefs. How is that too much to ask? But this is a conservative value. This is a conservative value, to have the balls to stand up for what you believe is right. Because conservative doesn't necessarily mean that you believe, let's say, take abortion, for example. Conservative just means that you believe in what was done in the past. What was popular
at the fundamental level, it's someone who doesn't want change, who wants to keep things the way they are, and progressives want change.
Exactly. That's why the progressive conservative of Canada makes no fucking sense.
Well,
you can't be both.
Well, and that's why I think tribalism is so it's inevitably leads to bad policy and the kind of mess that we're in now, because to have a blanket position where I want change or I want things to stay the same and never change your mind is always going to get you wrong, because there are some times when it's good to change. And there are other times and situations when it's good to be able to stay the same. And people need to be able to have that flexibility to look at an issue and be like, this is good as it is. This can change. But when you've built your entire political identity on being a progressive, for example, then it just becomes change for the sake of change. And even if things are good, you're still demanding change. And that's bad. That leads to terrible outcomes. At the same time, on the other side, if you have it baked in your mind that I will never change no matter what, even if it needs to be, that has negative outcomes baked into it too. And that comes from just tribalism, political tribalism, where people just get locked into this mindset. And I think the best thing to do is assess everything on a case-by-case basis. Do we need to change this? Should we keep this? And then just go from there based on your own values that can't ever change, right? Your core basic human values should be the same.
And look at you and I being the perfect example. Why is it that if the right is not conservative, that means we never have those discourse. That means we never have those conversations where people need to listen, need to debate, need to be coming at a discussion with facts instead of just their feelings. They need to explain themselves, allowing people to hear two sides of an argument and say, oh shit, I think I sit somewhere more in the middle. Because as per the bell curve, 80% of people stand somewhere in the middle. They're neither liberal nor are they conservative. If you consider that the liberals are the left and the conservative are the right, most people are somewhere in the middle. Yes, we have tendencies a bit more to the left of middle, a bit more to the right of middle, but you and I prove this every day. We talk about this shit every single day. So if you don't have a strong conservative party that is in opposition of the liberal party, you never have that conversation. You're never able to educate your population as to those are the two sides of the same coin. Where do you stand? What makes sense to you? We don't even have those conversations. That's why what we're doing, I believe that what you and I are doing is so fucking important, because we don't see it anywhere in Canada anymore. We don't get to have those conversations where we're going to disagree, but just fucking prove your point. Come ready, let's talk about it. Let's have a debate and see where we fall. But those conversations are not even had. And the fact that we don't have real conservatives to push those conversations are never going to happen if they're not conservative to challenge the liberals. Plain and simple.
Yep, 100%. And I think, to the extent that there's the show has a point, is to try to get that message out there, try to change the discourse in the way we talk about politics and interact with each other.
And just look at the comments. Like Andrew Canadian is completely disagreeing with me. And you know what? As much as I think you're wrong, awesome. You're allowed to be wrong. You're allowed to be right. You're allowed to disagree with me, because at the end of the day, all I care about is Canadians and having this fucking conversation in an open forum. That's all that matters to me. As long as you don't start calling me name, because I won't call you name. This is where I draw the line. If you go to insult, I'm not interested anymore. But you can disagree with me until you're blue in the face. I'm still going to respect your opinion because you have the right to say it, and that opens the door to it. How many times have I disagreed with Joe Stradamus? I disagree with him basically every day. Yet here he is, and here I am. No, but it's true. But but if I was on the same wavelength as Joe, we would never have those conversations. So the fact that I'm a lot more conservative than him allows to have those conversations where two people that disagree are able to talk. How the fuck is that supposed to happen if we don't have a conservative party to challenge the liberals? It's not that complicated.
Yeah. What do you think? You want to put a pin on her?
Yeah, we can, but I just want to mention, guys, I'm at the NCI in Kitchener right now. I'm literally, as you can see, I'm set up in the middle where people keep on passing. I'm going to start interviewing people this afternoon, tomorrow, and Saturday. So tomorrow the show is canceled because I will be doing some of those interviews, and it's so hard to be able to take 2.5 hours right in the middle of the day and not record, because a lot of the people that are witnesses and experts that come here, they do their speech and then they leave. They have other obligations, so I don't get to talk to them. So tomorrow the show's gone. We'll be back on Monday. You have a long weekend.
Yeah, you guys got a long weekend away from us.
No, you do. You have a long weekend.
Yeah, and so the audience does as well. You don't have to. You get an extra day away. Yeah. So hopefully, you guys enjoyed Mark here. Let us know what you think if you haven't already. I thought that was a lot of fun. I would love to have him back. Hopefully you guys would as well. And it seemed like he had a good time. Guys, as always, you could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to be here with us, and we will always appreciate that. If you are watching for the first time or anytime, and you want to support the show, if kind of you just tune into what Nico and I were talking about there in the last few minutes, hopefully, it helps to show you sort of the importance or the value of a place like this, a community like this, where we're not just having discussions and debates, although we are, but we're actually trying to promote a way to have these discussions, a way to have these debates. And if you think that's worth supporting, then you can become a member on the YouTube channel. That it's only $2.99 a month, and that will give you access to the Discord server, which is as we get more and more members, we'll be kind of up and running. But we're still in that early stages as we're building the community right now. But you will get full access to that as well. And also, as Angry Canadian says, remember to hit that like button, share and subscribe.
Like
the smash button, folks. Other than that, guys, have a safe and fun long weekend. Don't get into too much trouble, and we will catch you Monday, noon Eastern time, as always.